we are back with another partner episode of Keys. Now we're on a season break. We're going to be doing a couple of these. And we've got someone from Cast AI to come talk
Hello.
about what their amazing tool does and how you can learn about more. And of course, as always, we try and focus on something that has a free tier so you can try it out and hopefully use it to help with your FinOps. But we've got Itai with me. How are you doing today?
Hello, Steph. Thank you for having me. Really happy to be on the show.
We were talking about backgrounds before. I do really like your office space background, and it matches your t-shirt. Like, I enjoy the double branding. I'm like, I know where you are.
Thank you. Actually, I've been criticized that this is the corporate-looking background. Yours is way cooler, so I might take yours. So, in the next time.
Do you know, that would be really interesting, actually, if anybody had like made a background of my background, because this is somebody has asked me if it was fake, and I was like, no, I could touch the fun coast in the hat. But yeah, so let's get into a quick 1 minute kind of origin story, just so everybody learns who you are and what you do.
Gladly. So I'm Itai. I'm the VP Business Development at Cast AI, and I run a team that's focused on delivering value through third parties, through partners, alliances, our collaboration with AWS. And basically, we focus on what I call the power of three, which is how we work with resellers, with partners, with VARs, with SIs, and with AWS together to deliver maximum value for our mutual customers. A lot of energy, a lot of growth, really passionate about delivering innovation and a lot of value for our customers.
Brilliant. And so what does Cast AI do? Tell me all about your company.
So if you don't know Cast AI yet, Cast, first of all, we're a pretty big startup now. We're about 200 people, growing super fast. And we are all about automated cost optimization for Kubernetes.
Okay.
Each part of this sentence is really important. We really believe in automation. It's our religion. I'll talk a bit about it later. And really focused and professional around the Kubernetes world. So I'll show you the platform a bit later, but this is what we do.
Brilliant. And I always like to know, who is this tool aimed at? Because we have lots of tools that are aimed at developers, practitioners, managers. Who would you say is the most target audience for this product?
It's actually a great question because our user, at the end of the day, the people that manage the underlying infrastructure for Kubernetes are the DevOps people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say the bottom line, the strongest outcome that our tool delivers is cost optimization. So cost many times relates to FinOps people. I'd say our main player, the main user of our platform is the DevOps, but we're the best friends of the FinOps people because we initiate automation, optimization, observability, a lot of value into the relationship that they have with DevOps and the developers at the end. So It's a long story saying we work with DevOps people and we provide value for the FinOps people.
No, I love that hand-holding of just like the developers will use it, the developers will use it, and then the finance teams or FinOps teams will be able to see the benefit.
I like the fact you called it hand-holding and not arm wrestling because we see that a lot. But yeah, we try to make it a collaborative approach between everyone.
That's brilliant. So what makes you different to other kind of tools in this FinOps space?
Sure. So first of all, we are end-to-end Kubernetes optimization. We do everything from the workload itself all the way down to which machine does that workload run on, how do we bin pack it, how do we choose the right machine, how do we auto-scale, down to observability, to showing you what you have and why, end-to-end in one platform. So that's really, really strong. And the second thing I'd say that is really critical is we are all about automation. And automation is key. We talk a lot in the FinOps space about understanding what you're doing and why, and reporting and all of that. We believe that the next stage, and we're seeing it now in the field, in the market, is automation. Recommendations are not enough because at the end of the day, some human needs to make decisions and change stuff, and these humans go to sleep or take vacations. Automation is like a 24/7 SRE that is obsessed with efficiency. This is our tool. It's automated.
Brilliant. And before we go into a demo of this tool and kind of what is it actually automating and the optimization around it, as I said at the start, we always like to focus on free tier elements so that customers can at least try these kind of things. What is encapsulated in your free tier? And then maybe we could talk about the paid tier in a bit.
Yeah, of course. So we're big believers in the community, and basically in like AWS itself, go right from the bottom up, from the community, from the developers themselves. And we have a free tier that is being used by thousands of customers, which is pretty cool. I meet customers at events all the time saying, "Oh, Cast AI, I use you for my reporting and understanding what's going on in my Kubernetes environment." Another problem we solve is when you advance in technology and you break down your monolith into microservices, into containers, into Kubernetes, it doesn't get any simpler. It gets more and more complicated. Understanding what you do, where's the cost, why is the cost rising or changing like it does. We provide a whole tier of observability that is free of charge. You just connect your cluster in read-only mode. As I said, we have thousands that do this every day, and it gives you a ton of data on how what's impacting your cost, how are you managing it, how you could manage it better, recommendations, and all of that is completely free of charge. The reason it's free of charge is A, we really believe in providing value to the community, and B, it's our religion, so to speak, is automation. As I said, this is the main value of the product. So we will show you all of this, and then a lot of customers will say, that's great. I'll implement it. I'll go and change, and I see I have low allocation. I'm not using well enough the machines I'm buying. But at the end of the day, we meet them 3 months or 6 months later, and we see that some of them make great improvements on their own. That's wonderful. Applying automation takes them to the next level. So that's kind of the paid version.
Excellent. All right, let us transition into this demo.
All right. So this is the home screen of Cast AI. Anyone can go online to cast.ai, open your own user, log in, and connect your own clusters. As you can see, I'm going to use my own account here, but it's not like your demo account. Anyone can log in. I actually have thousands of customers that do this quite a lot. And the first thing we would ask customer to do is to connect their cluster so you can enjoy the observability, understand what's going on in your clusters, and it's all free of charge. So you can see to connect the read-only agent, I'll just show the YAML itself so you understand how simple it is. This is what you would run, and these are all the verbs, right? This is what it does. Get, list, watch, very, very basic, very lightweight, non-intrusive, and gives a lot of value back. So
it can't make any changes. It's just being able to read information.
Nothing. Yeah, very, very simple. You can actually look at the code at Git. It's open source, the code for the agent itself. So it's very, very basic, and anyone can run it. As I said, I'm meeting customers every day. So I'm connected already. I'm using Git to see the data. So out of the box, once you've connected for free, and you can keep it on for free, you see this data. This customer, for example, is spending $43,000 a month on EKS, and with Cast, they'd spend less than half, right? 20.5. How does this different happen? What's going on? How can we change? How can we create this value for the customer? So let's look into what they're getting, right? They're getting for free. Cost per cluster, per workload, per namespace. They can use allocation groups. So you want to know what part of the cluster cost is attributed to each business unit or each project. All of this is out of the box for free, right? Which is pretty cool. We also provide network cost and GPU data, and there is a lot of information here. Customers get just by connecting a very basic read-only agent, and again, you can use it for free. All right, let's look here on the left at node list, which is another very cool piece of data that we get out of the box thanks to the read-only agent that's, again, free of charge. You see the name of all the instances this customer has. You see the instance type. This one is C54 extra large. It's running on demand, but here you have some machines that are running on spot. Again, the customer did it on their own. You see the price each instance costs. And this is pretty cool and hard to achieve without our tool. You have the allocation percentage, meaning this C54 extra large here has 16 CPUs, but only 50% of that 16 CPUs is allocated to a workload, right? You see across the board that less than 50% of the CPU and memory this customer buys is actually allocated to a workload that's going to run on it. And we see this across the board in average in customers between 40 to 60%. And it's crazy, right? Do you know another space in business where customers don't even plan to use, they don't even allocate a resource to 50% of what they're buying? And it's cloud cost. It's crazy. So we want to try to solve this problem. And let's see how we solve this with automation. And again, this console shows you what we would recommend the customer to do. But our religion, again, what we really want to do is apply automation to solve this 24/7 automatically. So let's look at the problem. And currently, this customer has 100 instances running almost 1,400 CPUs. You can see the list here. That's kind of the same list we saw earlier, 18 C5 extra larges, and so on. Our engine which runs every 15 seconds, an algorithm that looks across the over 750 instant types that every AWS have in every availability zone, and asks the question, how do I bin pack the workloads, play around with the pod allocation into nodes to make sure that we utilize almost 100% of every node I buy, and I am running the most cost-efficient, always available, always scalable, of course, compliant configuration that gives the customer the best cost-effective environment they can, right? So in this case, you can see we'd go down to only 27 instances, which are 720 CPUs instead of like more than double.
Wow.
And we do that automatically. Again, you get this, you want to do it manually, you can, but we know cloud environments, we know Kubernetes environments, these things change, they scale automatically, the configuration changes, workload change. So we do that automatically 24/7 for the customers if they allow us.
So at this point, to kind of recap, so it's telling all the data, you can see how much you're actually using, as well as, I love the fact that you got the on-demand and the spots, you can see where it's actually kind of using those different types of pricing elements. And then when it provides the recommendation, is that, when the automation that you mentioned as well, which is in the paid tier, does the automation kind of reconfigure for you where those applications sit? And how does it do that? How does it connect to the containers to deal with that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Once we apply automation, which is the paid part of the product, we will do what we call a rebalancing or change the configuration automatically to move to this to the optimal configuration. Also, as I said, one of the things I love about the product is that it's so simple, right? It's so simple to see you're running 100 instances, and this will be only 24. But in the backend, you can control all of the complexity of Kubernetes, which means you can limit the machine types, affinity rules, anything you want to configure, you can do, right? The more freedom you will give to our automation engine to run, the more optimal it will be. But you can also put on guardrails, so you can control all of that. Let's talk about spot instances for a second. A lot of customers avoid spot instances because it's risky. You might have an interruption. And we actually introduced our own forecasting model that is able to tell 25, sometimes 30 minutes ahead of time when a spot interruption comes instead of the 2 minutes that AWS give. And we forecast that interruption when it comes. We spin up a different spot VM, move the workload to the different spot. By the time you have an interruption, you already have your workloads running on a different machine. Now, let's say, I don't know, there is a new Taylor Swift concert. The entire world is online buying tickets. There is no spot capacity. We will fall back to on-demand. Now, the cool part is once all the tickets are out and no one else is buying Taylor Swift concert tickets, there is new spot capacity available. We will move you for on-demand back to spot. All automatic. You don't have your SRE wake up at 2 a.m. waiting for spot market to be available again. So it's continuously optimized, right? This is what we do with spots, and this is how we ensure not every workload is spot compatible, but there are a lot of workloads. Sometimes the customer is not even aware of these workloads that are spot compatible. We're able to identify what we call spot-friendly workloads. Usually they're like stateless, they have multiple replicas, and we would recommend to the customer to run these workloads on spot and save a lot of money. We will never run a workload on spot if the customer didn't approve. So kind of alluding to this point, if you want to limit the system, you can. If you want to let it run for free, you can. Now, just going back to this point, let's toggle on and off, it's kind of a simulator that we have here. Even without using spots, we generated over 50% savings just by using the resources the customer buys much smarter, buying smarter instances, bin packing. If you allow us to use spots, it's even more savings. And if we understand the entire environment can run on spot with our SLA, with our fallback mechanism, the discount is crazy, right? That's dramatic.
Wow. Yeah.
But let's stay with this, which is a fair assumption for most environments.
Right. So yes, you're taking into consideration that not everything, because we know not everything can run on spot, but a lot of it can. People are not taking consideration. Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay, cool. Anything else you want to show on this before we kind of finish up?
Yeah, one last thing. So we do support Graviton. We have a scheduler, but I want to show another feature that's super cool. Until now, we assumed that when a developer said, listen, Steph, my workload needs 3 CPU. Please give me 3 CPU. That's what the workload needs. But in all honesty, developers don't know what their workload would need in production. And for companies, the bigger they are, it's harder to create that feedback loop that looks and says, okay, your workload that you asked for 3 CPUs is actually using 1. You give it 1.1, 1.2, right? But you don't need 3 CPUs. The way Kubernetes works is it gives you what you request. And what we do is we automatically learn in runtime 24/7 what each workload uses. And if the customer allows us, we will automatically correct the request to reduce the request to the actual usage. Right? So we optimize not only the machine, but the gap between request and usage. So every workload gets exactly what it needs. This optimizes, but this week I saw a great use case where a customer had under provisioning. They didn't have enough memory. They had out of memory outages, and thanks to us, we identified it. Yeah, and we automatically fixed it. So it creates efficiency and it creates better cost, obviously, but also improves performance. All automatic. So you can use this as observability, right? You can go manually, workload by workload, go back to the developer, ask them what's going on, fix it, fix that. This is great. It's free of charge. We will do this automatically for the customer.
Yeah, which is a good segue into if you have any kind of recent customer. I mean, that was kind of a good actually. The anecdote you said is probably the best one you could have, which is where you notice somebody had under provisioned and you were able to fix it. Maybe a small question on deployment, which is probably a dumber question. So is it that in terms of the infrastructure you deploy, do a customer, like say they use CloudFormation, they deploy whatever they need to into Amazon itself, and then Cast AI kind of sits on top and then makes changes based on the requests in your portal, is that right?
Yes, exactly. We're like an agent within the customer's environment and run. And we are available through, like, you can have a Terraform provider or a Crossplane provider or whatever you use. Like, you don't have to use ClickOps. You can use your infrastructure as code, whatever you're using.
So, music to my ears, automation, doing it in code. I love all these things. Totally. So on to our very last point, which is the fact that we're talking about the pricing elements of the automation is so cool. But what are your pricing structure? Because I always like to tell people this too.
First of all, I'd say our pricing is based on value to the customer, first and foremost. We want to make sure that the customer shows positive ROI, is generating basically savings after we finished our pricing, but we charge based on CPU, same logic that AWS price, amount of CPU that our system manages. We charge X dollars per CPU, and that's the pricing. So it's very, very simple, very straightforward, and the customer gets clear observability of how many CPUs they're using. We actually reduce the amount of CPUs because we adjust the workload and so we actually reduce our own consumption, but we do what's right for the customer. We're really customer obsessed like AWS. So.
Excellent. And that's quite cool. I like the idea because as well, if you are thinking like maybe your business has lots of these workloads, but maybe your project, you kind of want to try this out, you can silo it you could try it on one workload and then expand over time if you'd like, but it doesn't have to be an entire AWS account or organization. It can be one workload at a time. Brilliant. All right. Well, brilliant. Thank you so much. I feel like I've learned so much about not only your tool, but more about container workload management, which is always my weakness. So thank you so much. Last thing to call out, go check out Cast AI. We'll be putting in any links that we've referred to in the box below. And always make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see more amazing conversations like this. All right. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you very much, Steph.